Good morning, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and God bless you. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the news this morning. The NBC actually did some reporting, and they were forced to pull their own reporting over to Paul Pelosi's story. That's how you continue to know how damaging this story is for Pelosi is not some MAGA guy who decided to break into their house. No, it's a lefty who broke into their house or was let in. We don't have any tape. We don't have any of the things that would help debunk everything that's been said. Instead, what they're doing is they're forcing media to pull stories that does not align with their official narrative. And that's what we saw with NBC. NBC actually had a reporter do actual journalism. And when that report aired, they quickly made sure to take it down and added this disclaimer to it. So let's go and dive into it. Coming to us from over here on Twitter, from Greg Price. He astutely points out NBC has now removed a segment from their website, and added a note saying it never should have aired, because it did not meet our reporting standards. In other words, it did not meet the narrative standards of the Democrat Party. More also, the standards from Nancy Pelosi. This was from Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson says here breaking Paul Pelosi open door for the cops did not flee, or declare an emergency walk back to the attacker into house. Then was attack what that was the report from this NBC reporter. Well, if we look here, it is now gone. This video has been scrubbed from NBC. It says Paul Pelosi released from the hospital 6 days after the intruder attack. Pelosi was released from the hospital on Thursday. He is now recovering from a fracture school and several other serious injuries at home. NBC Miguel Agma Gar reported for Today. Editor's note. The piece should not have aired because it did not meet the NBC News reporting standards. Their neutral standards is whatever the Democrat Party tells us to say, is truly what the new standard is here on this point. And of course, I'm sure there was pressure from the Pelosi camp, pressure from DNC and the swamp to pull this story because it was critical and pointed out the facts in the story that has been presented to us thus far. The story that they're trying to feed the country, the story they're trying to put out there does not make sense. None of it makes sense. That is why there are so many questions. That's why you're out there running attack pieces on anybody out there demanding the video surveillance video being released. Just show us what happened with the bodycam show with all these things have taken place to show us, and I'm sure it will go ahead and really line up with what your narrative was, right? No. That's because Paul Pelosi was probably getting hammered a different way, and not with an actual hammer. That's what was going on. Maybe he was trying to skip out on payment. And then he called the police to try to get this escorted guy, find out the police was called on them for doing some hammering, and then he had to hammer Pelosi anyway. Story's a mess. Story is crazy. But it's par for the political elite as they engaged in this type of behavior. And they're not above reproach. They're not above being questioned. And they're especially not above criticism from the public, especially being in the political eye, being a political representative. We want to know, and we have a right to know. And then, this is some big news, but I can certainly tell you who isn't. And that's thousands of woke Twitter employees. I'm sure you heard the purge has officially begun. It's being widely reported that Elon Musk has started to implement mass layoffs. At Twitter, the very people who devoted their lives to canceling tens of thousands of voices on social media are now themselves finally getting cancelled. And keep in mind, all the vast majority of these cancelled accounts did was simply think and speak in ways that offended the woke left. That was their only crime. They didn't do anything illegal. They didn't break any laws. They didn't violate any FCC regulations. All they did. Their only crime was to voice opinions and points of view that woke left to sensibilities in conjunction with the deep state we now know found offensive. That was their only crime, and now today, it is any respect's judgment day for these people. It's being reported that as of 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UK, layoffs began going into effect throughout Twitter. Reportedly, Musk has cut instantaneously half the Twitter workforce. 3,700 jobs are gone. I mean, it was apparently an absolute bloodbath today. Employees were notified by email, and those that were laid off apparently had been locked out of their Slack accounts as well as their behind-the-scenes Twitter logins. Their staff badges for entry into Twitter facilities have been suspended. In fact, it's actually being reported that Twitter facilities both in the States and in the UK are closed today. In view of these mass layoffs, the Post-Millennial is reporting that among the victims, as it were, was the entire curation team. The curation team was responsible for highlighting trending topics, which for me, they were always skewed to the left. I mean, I remember disabling the trending tab because it was just so ridiculously annoying and woke. But already there are concerns that without the curation team, Twitter no longer has the ability to quote counter misinformation that was reported in Newsbreak. Well, that didn't seem to bother Elon Musk a whole hell of a lot, since now the entire team responsible for that has been axed. They are gone. Now, of course, they're already planning a mass lawsuit. You may have heard about that. Apparently, the layoffs ran afoul of California employment law. California requires the layoffs have to be given with a 60-day notice. So at the very least the California Twitter contingency is filing a lawsuit. But I don't see any way around this. It's not going to change anything in the end. Musk owns Twitter. And if he wants these woke warriors gone, they're gone. And there's nothing anyone could do about it. There's just no way around it. Now, as I understand it, these layoffs are temporary, at least in terms of the numbers. Over the next 3 years, I've read that Musk anticipates making 1,000s of new hires, swelling the ranks to as high as possibly 11,000 employees, up from the 7,500. As before today, that was according to Fortune magazine, and it doesn't seem like he's gonna have any trouble doing that. Because, again, as reported by Fortune, job interest in Twitter is through the roof. They're getting more applicants than they've ever seen in the history of their company. Applications are apparently 250%. And of course, we can presume, given that these applications started coming in shortly after it was announced that Musk was preparing to buy out Twitter, we can safely assume that these applicants are more of the techno-libertarian bent, shall we say, and certainly far more conservative than the current pool of woke leftists that have infested Twitter over the last decade. Now, here's the irony in all of this. I mean, this is crazy. You may have heard about Elon Musk's tweet that went out today announcing that Twitter had a massive drop in revenue due to what he called the activist groups pressuring advertisers to boycott Twitter. So of course these are far-left agitators trying to hurt Twitter financially. But if you think about that for literally just 5 seconds, if they're successful, if Twitter loses, say, half their revenue, then what percentage of their workforce would they have to let go in order to compensate for that? You leftists to realize that mass layoffs inevitably follow drops and revenue don't choose. So you literally have woke activists, leftists costing their fellow woke Twitter leftists their jobs. But in the end, it's an amazing sight to see. One of the most odious aspects of cancel culture is the way it continued to perpetuate the myth that big tech and big media are the exclusive gatekeepers of knowledge and information. And whatever claims are made that contradict that gate-kept knowledge are by definition labeled disinformation, and then they were effectively deleted. And what big tech and big media have to come to terms with is, while that was certainly once true, they most certainly did have a monopoly over what was considered truth and reliable information. They have to understand that those days are now officially over. Big media, big tech are no longer the gatekeepers of information. We're experiencing a huge tectonic shift in the way we consume information, as known as the networked society. Now, every person with a cell phone is a cameraman, every person with a social media account is a pundit or commentator. The days of big media and big tech having a monopoly over information dissemination are over. The internet is completely blown. That monopoly wide open information is no longer centralized. It's now been dispersed and disseminated away from centralization. And now what constitutes facts and information has been deprofessionalized, as it were, and ironically, it's now part of the democratic process. Now we decide, we get to determine what is truth and factual and informational, not a group of left-wing globalist gatekeepers. Those days are over. The people have taken over Twitter, and the world will never be the same. Then, some significant news, in the future governor of Arizona. Kari Lake continues to impress me as a future governor because I have faith in the people of Arizona are going to make the right decision. 5 days from now, as we head into the midterm elections and people go to the polls and vote for Kari Lake, because obviously she is the best candidate for the job in Arizona, not the basement-dwelling Katie Hobbs who refuses to even defend her record, defend her policies, defend her ideology. because she knows Kari Lake would absolutely shred her in a debate on a forum that would give her an opportunity to push back against Katie Hobbs as lies. It's amazing that there's no stopping Kari Lake in how she pursues against media, against Democrat politicians, against corrupt Republicans. It does not matter. Kari Lake takes no prisoners in this interview that she had earlier. It was absolutely hilarious because of what she told Hillary Clinton, because it was a meme brought to life, and I absolutely love when I see that take place. So let's dive into what we have here. Coming to us from Wayne Dupree and says Kari Lake has a message for Hillary Clinton. I'm healthy, the brakes on my car work, and I'm not suicidal. Yes, that's right. Let's take a listen. She said. But I was a little concerned today, I'm going to be honest, when I saw Hillary Clinton bad-mouthing me, and she looked angry and actually scared and just completely unrelated. I want you to know, just in case you're wondering, I'm in perfect health, my brakes on my car in good shape, and I'm not suicidal. And we're gonna win this thing on Tuesday. Okay folks, Rex, Hillary, everybody knows Hillary's body. Countless everybody knows Hillary Clinton will take care of anybody that has any information upon her, because she will make sure that she will send condolences to those people who have decided to off themselves with 2 bullets in the back of their head. That is how Hillary Clinton works. She is the master assassin in the political sphere. And Kari Lake recognizes that, so she wanted to make sure. She told the public that she's in perfect health, the brakes on her car work, and what else did she say? She is not having any suicidal thoughts. What a fantastic individual. Kari Lake is amazing. Get wrecked, Hillary Clinton. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. If you're up for it, I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching.